All right, welcome, kings and queens. I am back. I had to step away for a second. The queen had to handle some royal business, but I am back. And boy, did I miss you all. Not only did I miss you all, but there's been a lot of movement, a lot of motion going on in these YouTube streets when it comes to Love and Marriage Huntsville, when it comes to just a lot of disruption, a lot of discord, a lot of, woo, Lord have mercy. Wow. So we're going to talk Love and Marriage Huntsville today. We're going to talk Love and Marriage Huntsville, season 6, episode 11. All right. But before I jump in, how's everybody? I've been noticing a lot of swirl. There's a lot of swirl and commotion amongst content creators. There's a lot of swirl and motion about people just wanting to, I don't know the word I'm looking for. What word am I looking for? It'll come to me. I'm going to come back to it. For those of you who are just tuned in, or if you're new to the palace, welcome. I am Queen Sheba. I cover a variety of hot topics specific to reality television, but most importantly, I hone in on the psychological and the behavioral traits of the Black experience.
Subscribe now.
Kimmy was able, during this meeting, they picked up where they left off the last time the group reconvened, right? They try to give it a second go at convincing Melody to be a part of the Black Expo. So in this scene, Kimmy was able, in my opinion, to get Marcel and Tisha to say a few things. Pay attention. First thing was she was able to get them to admit that they did borrow. Let's keep it real. Stole the idea of the Black Expo from the Comeback Group. That was the first thing she was able to get them to admit. The second thing was Marcel confirmed that he is or was the most dysfunctional person in the group when it came to the Comeback Group. Third thing is Tisha really, in my opinion, based off Kimmy just throwing out talking points and throwing out questions, it was revealed to me, and this is what I picked up. In my opinion, I don't feel like Letitia really wants Mel to participate. Mel's participation probably came about by way of Marcel. And I'm feeling like that was a Marcel thing because as soon as the virtual option was placed on the table by Maurice was the one that said, okay, Melody can't be here. Melody said March 8th does not work for me because I will be performing or I have a conflict. Maurice then says, okay, that's okay. We can work this out. He didn't use those words. I'm just paraphrasing. But Melody could actually plug in virtually and teach one of her classes, to which Letitia says, we're not doing that. She shut it all the way down. So based on that, in my opinion, you really didn't want her to participate, right? Because when you really want or need something, you'll take what you can get, baby. Fourth thing is Melody. Melody, did you say Letitia came out like a baby bulldog? Wait, I hollered. Melody said, because you came out like a baby bulldog. Y'all, I hollered. That was a good old nasty read, Melody. I appreciated it. You know, I don't hear Melody read like that was a direct read. That was good. Okay, Melody. Number 5. Another thing that Kimmy was able to draw out. Tisha is extremely close-minded and one-dimensional. Ain't nothing worse than working or having to deal with a hard ass. Y'all probably see it every day with people you work with on your jobs. A hard ass is one of the hardest people to work with. Whether it's somebody in your family, they have a one-track mind. They're very fixed in their way of thinking. They're not curious. They're not very willing to explore alternatives. So yeah, Letitia really was not willing to bend and or compromise. And the last thing that Kimmy, I felt like, was able to draw out in this meeting. Okay, Kimmy, I kind of feel like my gut told me that you and Maurice were acting. There were some real moments, but then there were some tag team moments. And I kind of feel like the Scotts may have met prior and discussed a good old plan, strategic plan. Because at one point I was like, this feels a bit rehearsed. Okay. And I feel like maybe the Scotts got together and they came up with a good cop, bad cop approach when it comes to finessing Melody to get involved. Those are my thoughts. I'm going to dig a little bit deeper. What are your thoughts? All right. Now that I'm witnessing a lot that's going on in real time, I feel like I'm a bit more grounded in the facades. Pay attention, y'all, because Melody ain't Mother Teresa. And the reason why I say that, because these people are coming at Melody like she's Mother Teresa and it's her job to give and heal and save their world. No, ma'am. Melody's job is to not stoop low so you can step on her back and use it as a come up. It's your job to save yourself. This world has become so self-indulged that they now depend on people. They now depend on people to ignite their careers. They now depend on people to ignite their projects, their expos, or whatever else it is. What about your good old hard work? Okay? What about good old hard work? A lazy spirit, let me tell you something. A lazy spirit will always feel like you owe them something. And if you stay around and pay close enough attention, they'll start to complain when they feel like they're not getting what they want. Hard and smart work speaks for itself. And if you are as good as you say you are, you can produce your own without needing another soul in the room. So in my opinion, Letitia and Marcel are leeches. I've yet to see them stand on their own and produce a scene that's a home run. I've yet to see it. Just between the two of them. Ain't nothing like a fool who's bought into their own hoopla. Marcel really believes that he's that guy. And this man has convinced himself of such, which is why he's constantly slick talking, folks into doing what he wants. When he was doing all that talking at that meeting, it reminded me of the snake hissing in the Garden of Eden. Be quiet. Because the more you talk, the more you actually reveal you don't know anything. You're actually a fool with a loose tongue. So I just kind of felt like you were trying to slick talk Melody into going into this business operation with you. You asked that woman at least 3 or 4 times if she would speak at that event, and she told you no in 3 different ways. No is a damn no. Damn. No is no. Here's the thing now. According to the streets of Huntsville, the expo was decent, but it most certainly did not pull the crowd or give what it could have gave had Melody Cherie gotten involved. It's good because when you do average things come out good, but it could have been great. It could have been excellent. And that didn't happen because you stopped that funnel of support and collaboration, Letitia. And I'll go into detail about that just a little bit later, but let's shift to a different scene. Let's shift to Letitia and Marcel, but before I really do a deep dive on the scene that they had in the apartment, I want to talk just really briefly about Nell and Mel. Yes, they met at a dance studio to take pole classes, and it was actually a lot of fun. I sat there and I thought, I wonder if my knees still work like that. Because the way you had to go down and those heels that you had to wear, I said, I wonder if my knees, could I even walk in those heels? But anywho, Nell and Miss Mel met, and honey, Miss Nell was trying to get all the tea when it came to Melody's new boo. And Melody didn't give her much to go on. She didn't give her a lot at all. But she did say, peep this, she said that the guy is mind-blowing. He checked off every item on her list. Now, Melody, I need you to come back and tell us what's on this list. What's on this list? And I'm not talking about the high-level stuff, the protector, the provider, and the professor. What else on that list? We nosy, so we like to know what's on that list. But anywho, she said that he has everything on her list. Melody, I think you should date around. You know, initially when the picture came out, I was like, yes, yes, yes. But the more I think about it, I'm like, yes, yes, yes. Okay, still date. That's what I mean. But then I was like, she did 14 years of hard time, like the penitentiary with Martell. I'm going to need you to pull a Sex in the City, Mel. I'm going to need you to pull a good old Sarah Jessica Parker and Mr. Big before you settle down. I'm going to need you to jet set all over this world. I need you to eat some fine dinners. I need to see you with champagne glasses in your hand. I need to see somebody whisking you off to the dance floor. I want to see him staring in your eyes. I want to see moonlight walks on the beach, all that good stuff. I need Sex in the City, Melody. And then, whomever the last man is standing, then you can settle down or get into a long-term relationship. But I think it's important to date after such a long marriage. Okay. That's just my opinion. What do y'all think? Let me back, because I know some people may feel completely different. But what do y'all think? Let's talk Letitia and Marcel. I really want to talk about this apartment scene. Okay. It was very important to me. I actually liked it. I see you, production, trying to get them to give a little bit more, but you got to push. You literally have to push them out the nest because you haven't really challenged them over the past 4 to 5 years to give more. So now you're going to have to make up for lost time if that's what you're going for. But before I jump into Letitia and Marcel, let's talk briefly about Courtney. Marcel met with Courtney to show him, well, actually, Courtney met with Marcel. So Marcel meets, I guess, in the vicinity of Black or in that strip mall setting. Now, I don't believe much when it comes to Letitia and Marcel. When it comes to projects, they've been known to, fabricate their stories with fake storylines. So at this point, I just really can't believe anything from them until I see it and I see their name on it, because they haven't really been very transparent. But anywho, Courtney meets with Marcel because he wants to get Marcel's take on him. He and Stormy having to have fired Stormy's cousin, Junior. And he's like, how do you feel about this? Blah, blah, blah. Marcel says, well, it depends on the trust. It depends on my level of trust for them. And I thought, okay, let me hear this out to make sure I'm following. And I didn't like it. Marcel, trust. You can have all the trust in the world for a person, but if they don't show up and work and do what they need to do, that don't mean shit in business. That was the first thing I thought. The second thing I thought is when Courtney started to share that they had to fire Stormy's cousin because he wasn't working. He was always on his phone. He was just unreliable, right? Now, I don't know this to be true because Junior can say something completely different. This is Courtney's take. Marcel, that was your opportunity to say and or to hype Jalen up. How come you didn't say, we didn't have that kind of problem from Jalen? That hasn't been our experience with Jalen. Jalen's actually been a really good employee. I was scared. I was a little bit worried. I wasn't sure how this would work out. We got off to a rough start, but he's very dependable. He's very reliable, and he has really taken Black to the next level. How come you didn't plug Jalen in on the behalf of Kimmy? And that's what I'm talking about. one track mind. When people become so self-absorbed, they can't think outside themselves. And I feel like you felt Jalen in that moment. But let's move on. I'm taking it. Y'all, hold on. Let me take a sip of my water. So, this scene with Letitia and Marcel actually gives us a little bit of a tiny bit of introspection into their real life, mostly because they've been forced to share, I believe, because so much of their legal issues have been made public. Now, here's the thing, production. If you allow them to hide their reality, it actually makes you look bad and places them in the driver's seat. Many years ago, a very brilliant therapist said, "You are only as sick as your secrets." Y'all chew on that. Let me say it again. The secrets that you keep make you sick mentally. So Letitia and Marcel, when you hide or attempt to hide your real life, your financial woes, the legal trouble that you're in, the house that you really live in, the fact that you are allegedly cheating on your wife, when you try to sweep all of that under the rug as if it's not your reality and you are indeed on a reality television show, okay, it makes your storyline look contrived. And before you know it, you're having to tell all of these beautiful lies to cover the previous lies. Call a thing, production. They've done bad business, allegedly. And as a result, there's been some repercussions to that. It makes it double bad when Marcel has taken on a different persona by allegedly being involved with another woman. Now, my granny used to say, "Can't no right come from doing wrong." So I feel like everything that they're touching is slipping through their fingertips. Letitia, the secrets that you're willing to keep to make your husband look like the perfect guy is actually keeping you sick. And I don't mean physically. All of that, right? The secrets. It makes you look crazy. It makes you and him look like beautiful liars. You're only as sick as your secrets. So until you're ready to give us your real reality, it just doesn't make sense to us. So here's a couple of things that I've noticed about Letitia and Marcel. Number one, in this scene, it appears as if Marcel is attempting to create a bit of a separation from Letitia. That's what I picked up on. Did anybody else pick up on that? Number two, why would y'all need to split up, Marcel, in order for you to go to work? Huh? You said that you're building something. So there's a probability that y'all need to stay in two separate places. That doesn't make any sense to me. So this is either a fake storyline or you are trying to create space with your wife. Either way, it's deceitful and it's deceptive, because if you're trying to create space and or initiate a separation with your wife, then you're fooling her. You're telling her a lie and you're putting it on work. And if that's not the case, then you're lying to us. If you love your wife, you have no intention of being apart from your wife, then you're lying to us as the audience, and it's a fake storyline. But either way, like I said, when it comes to Letitia and Marcel, it's very hard for me to trust anything that comes out of their mouth. Production. Unless you give us more, this conversation really doesn't make any sense. Think about a production? Think about what he's saying. Hell, y'all should have asked him, why do you need to live separately from your wife? Can you tell us that? Sometimes I wonder, I said, how come production doesn't ask questions when stuff don't sound right? Honey, if it don't sound right, that's because it ain't right, production. So that's what stood out for me in this scene. I'd love to hear y'all's thoughts. I want to talk about Letitia meeting with Melody. Y'all, this was like history repeating itself when Letitia met with Melody. I was completely blown away in the most intriguing way. But not, I was just like, wow, Letitia, you have no idea what you're really saying. So Letitia meets with Melody to say that she feels like this isn't really about the money that Melody is requesting as a speaker. And she feels like it's something deeper going on with Melody. And Melody is just not saying it. And I thought to myself, really? Really, Letitia? Could it be that you just called the girl a dark soul? Could it be that less than 90 days prior to filming this scene, you sat on that reunion stage and you said that she has an evil, dark soul? Do you not remember that? And now, 2-3 months later, you expect her to come back to the table as if all is well. Oh, it is deeper than that, than the money. She don't want to work with you, period. Okay? It's almost like Letitia has taken on a privilege that because she's become accustomed to Melody or to know Melody as a giver, that she expects Melody to continue to perform in the capacity of when she and Marceau first encountered Mel, which we blame on Martell. Martell brought them into Melody's life. Melody was very generous to them. Okay? Extremely generous to them financially, and also created psychological safety for them. When we think about that from a psychological standpoint, she gave you a roof over your head, allegedly, a running and reliable vehicle, allegedly, especially when, what's his name? Marceau lost his job at the theater, which you finally heard him mention working at the theater. Okay, like it took you 4 years, sir. It took you 4 years, but that's what I'm saying, production. You really can't pull too much over this audience because they've done their homework. They know everything. Now, let me get back to the basics. So Letitia's sitting there, and as she's talking to Melody, she says, I just remember you would be the boss. And you would walk in a room and, as a boss. And what happened? What she's really saying, y'all, is I remember you and how I relate to you. And my reference to you is a giver. You're a giver. And because you don't give me what I want, or because you don't give me what I thought I could get out of you, I'm concerned. Are you okay, Melody? Now, she didn't say all that, but I'm giving it to you from a psychological perspective. The rest is just fluff. We got to get down to the meat and the potatoes of it, because that's basically what she's saying. I'm concerned. Are you okay? There must be more, because in the past, I could come to you and get what I need from you. And now you're not giving it to me. So there has to be something going on with you. Okay? Y'all following me? Are y'all following me? So it's like Tisha not only wanted Melody to participate as a speaker, but she also had a double agenda. She wanted Melody to fill in the gaps where she was incapable of planning a project on the scope of a Black Expo. She already had it planned out in her head that Melody would step in and figure it all out for them. Y'all, this is wild. Go back and play the scene. Listen for yourself. Fill in the gaps. Listen carefully and look at it from a different angle and a different perspective. She talked about how Melody, she's pretty smart and all of this. No, you wanted her to help you. You thought you was going to come in there with that PowerPoint and Melody was going to give you a brilliant $1 million idea. And that didn't happen. Yeah, you played yourself on that reunion stage because Melody said that she would not be working with y'all. Okay? I feel like Letitia's living in a matrix. I feel like because she lives in a matrix, she expects Melody to sweep things under the rug just like she does. See, Letitia allows Marceau to mistreat her. She's allowed him to mistreat her so much that she's become immune to it, numb to it, almost detached. So when she says evil and dark things to Melody, she expects Melody to behave and respond in a way that she would to Marceau. And it don't work like that, sweetheart. You've become immune to dysfunction in your marriage. And you've sacrificed your heart to keep a man. Now you're numb. And now you're out of sorts. So it doesn't make sense to you that Melody will want to disconnect from you for mistreating her, because you've never disconnected from Marcel for mistreating you. I hope y'all got that. All right, so let's talk about Stormy and her family dynamics. Y'all, wow, this was real. This was reality television. And it was real because Stormy's aunt Lisa brought the real. Okay, I could tell initially that Betty was going to do her best to try to behave, but that did not last too long. Stormy pulls her family together, and based on some of the conversations, I think Stormy initiated this meeting between her aunt, her cousin Junior, herself, and her mother, Betty. So Stormy gets the family to come together to talk about Junior being let go from Canvas. Okay, first of all, Junior is grown. Aunt Lisa, because Aunt Lisa wanted to know, how come Stormy didn't tell me he was fired? He's grown, Aunt Lisa. That's a grown-ass man. If he wants you to know he's fired, he can tell you he's fired. Okay? That's not Stormy's role as his boss. In the real world, if your son, grown man's son, got fired from a corporate job, they're not going to call you and talk to you because you're his mama. Okay? Although he seems to be a mama's boy, they're going to fire his ass and they're going to send him home. And unfortunately, you won't know a thing. You won't know a thing unless he tells you. Because in the real world, just because you baby your son and you set him up for failure doesn't mean everybody else is going to baby him. Secondly, Stormy, your aunt has a problem with you firing her son. She's probably not articulating it as well as she could have, because there's a lot of emotion there and frustration that she has towards your mom. But your aunt, let me just break it down for you. Your aunt is mad at you because you fired her son on national television, and you did it as a part of your storyline. Period, point blank. And that was wrong, and she feels some kind of way about that. You're not going to fire my son and then use him as a come up to extend yourself on the show. That's it. That's the real truth. Okay? Because you don't do that to family. And what you did is you took her son, you put him in your storyline, and you fired him on national television, and that's embarrassing to her. And that was probably embarrassing to him. So this is why your aunt feels some kind of way. Stormy's aunt stated that she didn't know her son was fired. And the way that she learned that her son was fired was through Betty. She went to Betty's house to visit her sister, and she felt ambushed by Betty. She felt like she was going over to have a good old visit with her sister, and then her sister Betty dropped a bomb on her that her son had been fired, and she felt some kind of way about that. Now, Betty is causing havoc, y'all. Yeah, I know you Stormy's mom, but you all up in her business. And you're acting as her mouthpiece, and you're kind of being a bully. Okay? And you're making things all wrong. You're not making things better for your daughter. You're actually making them worse, because nobody wants to talk to you, Betty. And then you tried to embarrass your nephew by repeating his criminal record on TV, which his mom, nobody knew you were going to do that. That's why Stormy's aunt told her by the gate, I trusted you. And then Stormy comes back with the same old tired rebuttal. Well, that's my mama. I can't control what's coming out of her mouth. Girl, you about to be friendless and family. And family's about to stop messing with you, because that's a sorry ass excuse that you use your mother to verbally attack others. You knew your mama was going to say something fly. You knew that. And you probably knew your mama was going to put your cousin's criminal record out on TV, but you let her do it. You didn't say nothing. You sat there. You looked away. And that's the type of BS that the viewers had a problem with you when it came to Melody Cherie, because your mama did the same thing. She told Melody's business. I don't know if to be true or not. She started getting into people's finances, talking about people's homes. They not real. They're not a real power couple. They don't own this house, all of that. And you didn't say nothing. Your only thing was, I can't control what my mom says. And then you brought her to a tea party to let her repeat the verbal attack. Okay? So you know what time it is. You're a street girl. You're street smart. You're utilizing your mom to fight your battles verbally. And then when she's done, you run out behind the victim and you say, I can't control her. Girl, bye. We peep you coming a mile away. Okay? We peep you coming a mile away. So anywho, it pissed her aunt off that Betty opened her big mouth and put her son's business out there. So, what's her name? Aunt Lisa said, okay, you want to play that game? You want to tell everybody on national television that my son went to jail? Stormy went to jail. Stormy also has a criminal record. And I clutched my pearls. Oh. And you can tell that it completely caught Stormy off guard when her aunt said that she went to jail, because you should have seen the look on her face. But that's not even what I want to get into. Stormy looks at her mother. So as they're going back and forth, Stormy looks at her mother, and I guess she notices that her mom is smirking or has a smirk on her face. And she said, why are you laughing? And her mom said, well, because she said you went to jail. Stormy said, so B, I went to jail. Hold on. Did y'all hear me? Stormy says, so B-I-T-C-H, I went to jail. So what? Y'all, I can't make this stuff up. Did this girl just call her mom a B? Did this girl just call her mom a B? And even if she wasn't directly calling her mother that, you still don't use it in her presence. Y'all, this is crazy. So Stormy's aunt completely loses it after Betty airs out her son's dirty laundry on national television. It's just wild. I kind of feel like she's hyperventilating. I kind of feel like she's trying to gather herself, but she can't. And I kind of feel like she wants to fight. She wants to go to fight or flight. And because they wouldn't let her leave, she's ready to fight. It was just wild seeing that on national television between those two. I hate to see a family break up. And her aunt kept saying, you really, this is what we're doing? So we're going to sell out family now so that you can have a moment on TV? You really willing to sell your soul to the devil so that you can be on this show? Carlos, y'all, that's what Carlos King does. He is not preserving the chastity of nobody's family, of nobody's marriage. So yeah, auntie, she is. Unfortunately, she is. But Miss Betty, what's up with you? How did all that darkness settle in your heart? Your sister said you are evil. Your sister kept saying you are a very evil woman. And I know it hit home for Stormy because I saw the look on her face in response to what your sister had to say about you being evil. Oh, that was a lot, y'all. So in the midst of Stormy and Courtney attempting to console Aunt Lisa, what's his name? Junior is inside with Miss Betty. So he got left inside. And then the microphone pans in on them. This lady's in there bullying her nephew, calling him what'd she call him? She called him a prick. But I cannot remember the word she put. She put a very descriptive word in front of the word prick. But she's basically calling her nephew a prick. A condescending prick. Or something like that. I cannot remember. Don't quote me on it. Okay? And I said, Miss Betty is a very evil woman. You too old for that, ma'am. You too old to be acting like that. And that's the same shit she tried to do with Melody. Miss Betty, there is something seriously and harshly wrong with you. Miss Betty, women like Miss Betty were those women that raised a lot of these adults who now have mental health issues because they were not allowed to express themselves properly and they were bullied in the home by this persona of Black woman. Okay? They would run any good man off and then the kids would be stuck with them. So now they're single mothers, right? And they're broken. They have their own trauma. They're not going to therapy. So now they become bitter, even more bitter, because the man left And then they turn around and start bullying the kids. We've seen it over and over and over with some of these personas, these TV personas with black mamas. We've seen it with Miss Betty. We've seen it with Miss Wanda. We've seen it with Mama Joyce. We've seen it with Latasha and Tamika's mom, Miss Gloria. And when we do get the good and loving mamas, like Miss Van, production, Carlos King, they can't stand it. They want to ice her out. They don't want to show her. Y'all see what I'm saying? Y'all see what I'm saying? So be careful of the subliminal messages that they embed about mothers. And then they don't give you something to balance that out, right? And you're constantly being exposed to this toxicity. And then after a while, not only you, but people tuning in feel like it's normal for black folks to behave like that. That's what they do. They annihilate each other. They're dysfunctional. They want to fight each other. They're animals. You get what I'm saying? But then we put a beautiful label on it. We put it in a package. We call it Black Excellence. And we present it on a platter by a network called OWN TV. Y'all be careful what you take in, honey.